Social media can be an incredibly powerful tool for your business, but there's a right way and a wrong way to go about using it to make sales and connect with clients. Today, we're going to cover the top 3 mistakes that I see new entrepreneurs making when trying to use social media to build their business. We're going to talk about what those mistakes are and what to do instead. So, mistake number 1 is to go out there on any social media platform and to start selling immediately. I'm sure you've seen posts like this as well, where maybe you are in a Facebook group or on Instagram and you see someone going in there, you've never seen them before, and they write a post talking about how amazing their product or program or offer is, and then link to expect you to buy it right away. Here's the thing. Nobody goes on social media to be sold to. Why are we going on social media? We're going on social media to connect with others, to be entertained, to see what's going on, to be in the loop. And so when it comes to using social media, you can absolutely make a lot of sales using it, but the right way to go about it is not to go out there and just post your offers nonstop. That's not very effective and it doesn't feel good to anyone. So what I recommend you do instead is to reframe the way that you're thinking about it, so that instead of thinking, how can I go out there and make sales, reframe into thinking, how can I go out there and give value? And here's why that makes such a big difference. People can tell when you're answering their questions, when you're connecting with them, when you're writing posts just for the sake of making a sale. And that turns them off. However, when you go out there with the intention of how can I connect with people on social media, how can I really help someone, what that does is it opens them up to having a conversation with you. Now, this is especially important when you're first starting out because you don't have any brand recognition online, you don't have any social proof in the form of testimonials or I've been around for this long, I've helped this many people, things like that. And so how do you make up for it? You make up for it by actually connecting with someone and answering their questions and showing them, hey, this person is legit. They can actually help me get what I want. So how do you do that? There are a few top strategies that I recommend my students use. So one of the first top strategies is to, whenever you are on social media, search for the questions that your audience might be asking. Search for the key words. So for example, if you're a health coach, right, you might be searching for words like weight loss or weight loss struggle or how do I lose 5 pounds, things like that, to see what questions are coming up and who is asking them. Now what you do next is, in response to those questions, you can share a quick, very useful tip. Hey, I recommend you doing this. I've personally tried this myself. There's a lot of advice out there on this or that, and here's what I recommend doing instead. And what that does is it leads to a really good conversation where someone's saying, oh, wow, you were really helpful. How can I learn more? Or if you want, inviting them to chat with you further. And what that does, that leads to you building a relationship with them, you to helping them develop trust in you through having that conversation. I'll share with you that's how I got my first ever paying client back when I was doing digital advertising consulting. I didn't even know what I could sell, so I truly wasn't looking to make any sales. But what I did was I went into Facebook groups and I saw people asking about advertising. So I saw this woman asking about it and I messaged her and I said, hey, this is what I do in my job and I'm happy to answer your questions. In return, I'd love to ask for a few minutes of your time to get some market research questions. And she said yes. So we had that exchange. She found it super helpful. She actually found it so helpful that for the next 2 weeks, she asked follow-up questions. And what happened was I continued answering those questions and giving her a ton of value. And about 2 weeks after our first call, she emailed me and she said, you've given me so much value for free. I know I will get so much more value out of this if I hire you. So how can I hire you? And I actually had to say, okay, please wait a minute because I need to go out there and figure out what I could even sell. And so we scheduled a call for a week later, and I was so nervous, but that's how I got my first client, because I had built that relationship beforehand. I didn't have a fancy website. I didn't have credentials. I hadn't been featured in any large publications. I just had my job experience. I knew what I was talking about and the desire to help. And that's how I, like I said, got my first client. So what you can see when it comes to social media is that it's amazing for connecting with clients and building your business. But what it comes down to is how you go about it. So you don't want to go about it by trying to write a post about how amazing your offer is or how amazing you are in trying to sell. Instead, what you want to do to go about it is to connect, to entertain, to engage with people first, and use that to build relationships and open up conversations that then lead into you building relationships, developing trust, and eventually into the sale. Now, this is especially important, as I mentioned earlier, when you're first starting out, because that's the biggest asset that you have, the relationship, the intimacy that you can build with someone, because you don't have the fancy website, the credentials, or the hundreds or thousands of clients who have given you testimonials. So that's mistake number one, what not to do and what to do instead. Mistake number two that I see so often is that someone will go into a new group or onto someone else's platform, their Instagram account or their blog or their YouTube channel, and not respect the vibe of the group. And this is incredibly important because maybe the group is really fun, has a really fun, informal tone. And that person will go in posting a really serious, really professional or corporate sounding type of post. And it just completely has a disconnect with that audience and what they're looking for inside that group or that channel. And a really great analogy, a way to think about it when it comes to how that works and would work in real life, is imagine if you go to a club. And the way you dress, the way you talk is very informal depending on what kind of club, what's going on, who you're hanging out with. And imagine if you took that same way of dressing and way of speaking and brought that to work with you. So maybe you're wearing a sequin dress or a really fun jumpsuit or something that's a little bit more risque and shows a little bit more skin. And you're going into work having had a few drinks and you're being really informal. You're going up to your boss saying, "Hey, what's up, dude?" Right? Or "What's up, dudette?" That's a really funny image, but that's the equivalent of what happens in a lot of these places where people are going online and going on into any of these forums and not respecting the vibe of that group, right? Just like you would do one thing and say one thing in work because that's what's appropriate and go to a club and do and say another thing, that's what you want to be thinking about as well when it comes to your the way you show up on social media. And this is about just experimenting and testing and researching. What it comes down to is understanding the host of the channel, the account, the group, the forum that you're wanting to engage in. What tone have they set? What tone has that set for the entire group and community? And that's what you want to respect. So if a group is a bit more fun and informal, great. I've had students have great success with informal groups where they will share fun images or quotes or posts to kind of get people's attention, to be entertaining, to have fun, and then lead into the conversation and the relationship building that we talked about earlier. If a group is more formal, for example, you don't want to go in and start throwing around F-bombs or kind of just being super informal. You want to go in and be a little bit more in tune with the vibe of that group. And so maybe the way you speak in your content, the way you're connecting with others is a little bit different as well. And that's what you want to be thinking about. How can I really go in there and fit in and be respectful of the community that that person has built? Because that's what you're doing. You're engaging with a community that someone else has built, especially on social media. If you're engaging on other accounts or channels or groups, wherever that is, And you want to be respectful of that. Otherwise, what's going to happen is that community is you're not going to fit in very well with that community. You're going to be completely disrespecting the admin or the creator of that group and community, and that's often going to get you blocked or kicked out and just completely defeats the purpose. And so that's mistake number 2. Make sure that you are respecting the vibe of the group so that you can go in there, you can connect with the right people, you can build real relationships. And what that even does is it can allow you to build a relationship with the admin or the creator of the community, which will be even more beneficial for you in the long run, because that could be a partnership, that could be a joint training, that could be something where they promote you to their audience, so that it magnifies and leverages the effect that you would have had just posting in there by yourself. So there are a lot of win-wins that can come as long as you respect the vibe, the language, the tone, the environment, and the rules of each group, each community, each channel, each account that you are engaging with. So that's mistake number 2. And that leads us to mistake number 3, which is that I so often see people just on their own accounts, their own groups, posting and not engaging. Because again, remember, this ultimately all comes down to, why do people go on social media? It's not to be sold to, it's not to read your amazing content and learn from it and then realize, oh, I need to work with you. No matter how amazing your content is, it's simply not the function of social media. People go onto social media to connect, to engage, to be entertained, to see what's going on. And so what that means for you when you're building your own community, whether that's through posting in your own group or on your own Instagram account or wherever, or posting first in other groups to build a little bit of awareness for you, step 1 is to post good content, but that's just step 1. What you want to be spending the rest of your time on, and more of your time than actually sharing content, is to engage with people. And there's so many ways that you can do that. The simplest way to start out, and the most basic way, is that when someone responds to something that you've shared, to respond back. So even if you've shared a post and someone is saying, hey, this was great, thank you, you can say something as simple as, I'm so glad you found it helpful. If you've been on a part of my YouTube channel for a while, you know that that's something that I do as well. So I'm walking my talk. Or if they're asking a question, you can share a simple response. Now, how in-depth you go with this is up to you. Maybe you decide that you want to really give them a mini fun coaching session, especially if you're starting out. Or if you're more established, you have a lot of content, you can share, hey, I've answered this question before on another piece of content. You can check it out here. Or if you want to give them a quick tip, as long as it doesn't lead into a huge free coaching session, which there's no need to do that, but you're engaging, you're giving value, you're showing appreciation for someone who has taken the time to review your content and then actually respond. Do you know how hard that can be? Think about how many pieces of content or how many YouTube videos that you've watched and simply said, oh, this was good, but not responded to or shared. So when someone takes the extra step to do that, you absolutely want to show your appreciation. That's how you, by the way, build a community for yourself. As we mentioned earlier, another great way is to search for people asking questions that you can answer and start answering them. That leads into great conversations and relationships. And if you are in another community or another account, if that admin is sharing a post, then you do want to support that admin to, again, show appreciation for the community that they've built that's allowed you to connect with potential clients as well. And again, what that does is just another way to continue building that relationship with the admins, the other members of the community, so that you can form those relationships and those partnerships down the road that we talked about earlier. And so what this does, in effect, is it has you showing up. It has you really being a part of a community. Think about it. If you were a member of a club or an organization, and you went in and all you did was just post flyers for your business, and then you left. That's the physical equivalent. Versus if you go into the club, you can go in and you know everyone by name. You can say, hey, so-and-so, it's great to see you. How's your kid doing? Or how's that new puppy that you just got? Or that new project that you're working on? That creates a completely different vibe. Or like the traditional golf club business cliche, hey, let's go and play golf, right? My golf buddy, let's do some business. It's really the same thing, the same vibe that you're going for when you're using social media. No matter if it's a group, if it's a certain platform, if it's a certain forum, it's the same thing. This applies no matter where you are. So that you can be in that place of knowing everyone's names, of having people say, oh, hey, I know so-and-so, let me recommend them to you. Or, hey, I see the question that you're asking, so-and-so, you would be a great person to answer, you should ask them. Or even when you're sharing content and have someone say, you can have someone say in the comments, hey, I did a free coaching session with this person, or they've helped me so much. What does that do for you to really boost your credibility in the eyes of the rest of the community? And all of this does not have to take that much time. Remember, if you're just sharing posts, if you're spending 10 minutes engaging with others a day, that's it. It's not like you need to be online for hours at a time. Nobody has the time or the energy to be doing that and to be doing that consistently. So as long as you make sure you're avoiding these 3 mistakes, and you are in a place of using social media the way that people, your potential audience, want to engage on it, that's going to lead to you building the community, the relationships, the audience, the clients that you want in a way that also feels good to you and ultimately has you building a community and fans for life as well, instead of just becoming known as that person, oh yeah, who just comes in, posts, and doesn't care about anything or anyone else. You don't want that, because that's not going to make you sales anyways, right? So those are the 3 mistakes. Make sure you avoid them, and then make sure you do instead the steps that we discussed to boost your community and your clients. Now, if you want more, I've got another really great video to share with you, and that's how to use social media to get clients. Now you know what mistakes to avoid. What do you do? So make sure you check out that video on how to use social media to get clients. And if you want to learn how to get your first paying client, I've got a really powerful, proven 20-second script to help you do just that. And so make sure that you go to the link in the video, shared in the video, probably up here, to the landing page to opt in to get that PDF that has that 20-second script to help you get your first paying client. That's all I've got for you today. Make sure you hit subscribe if you found this helpful so that you're notified when I release a new video like this every week on building your own online coaching, consulting, and course business. Thanks for watching. Leave me a comment, and I will see you next time.